right now you at a point in your life, either you become what you see every day or you become better. You sink or swim. It should be over here all the time. This is one of the hideouts, man.
So where did you sleep? In this room?
Yeah, right in here.
Can you show me where?
Right here, most of the time. I just chill right here, put my book bag behind my head, and just lay back right here. I played football growing up. I was always like one of the best athletes on every team that I played on and everything. And when freshman year came, that was the last thing that was on my mind. Coming up, you know, we were basically poor. I grew up in like the projects, and then when my mom got married, stuff started to get a little bit better as I started getting a little older.
Me and my ex-husband went through a divorce. It was a really bad one, and we went through losing our home, and I ended up losing my job, and then he moved around a lot to different high schools because we had to go in the area where a friend or a family member would be able to assist at that time.
Before I moved to Fort Mill, I was thinking about dropping out of high school. I really didn't see a future in too much of nothing. I felt like everything was failing.
We all thought he was a sophomore, and then we found out after talking to him and everything, when you transfer, you get all the paperwork done and everything, that he was actually a junior. So eligibility is so crazy thing now. He could practice, but he couldn't play, if that makes any sense. So, and he stayed through it. Now, a lot of kids don't do that, you know. Like, I'm not going to practice. If I'm not going to play, I'm not going to practice. Well, he did. He stayed out there.
It was never a moment where, like, before practice, I'm like, oh, I don't want to practice. I always wanted to practice because that was just like I said, that was my getaway. That was like my time that I could just really, like, you know, get everything out of my head and not focus on stuff that was going on.
You know, when coaches got done with practice and everything, we're leaving, and all the kids are gone. There are times we've seen Antonio walking around, and everybody go, Tony, why are you still doing here? Why aren't you going home?
This is the back door that I used to sneak into right here. This one and this one on the other side. I really had no other option. It was either the locker room, friend's house, or if I catch a ride back all the way in Charlotte or wherever I'm going, I'm not going to school the next day. It's impossible. It's not going to happen. Yeah. This is showers over here. This is where I was showering most of the time. I will always act like I'm coming to get some stuff I forgot. And I'll put something right here, like in between the door right there, like a little rock or something, just enough so I can slide back in. And it'll be open like that. The first time I did it, some of my teammates walked in that morning for weightlifting. And I had already showered and everything, so I was good, but I was asleep. So I hopped up, and they're like, man, what you doing sleeping in here? I think I said something like, oh man, I got here early, so I just, you know what I'm saying, I just been chilling. They didn't know I had actually just been there for like the whole night. At one point it was like every day for a whole week. Like my mom, she would think I'm at one of my friends' houses, but I'd be sleeping in the locker room just because I didn't want her worrying about it.
Once I found out about him going to the school, I mean, as a mother, it cripples your self-esteem and your confidence to know or feel like you're doing all that you can do, but it's still not enough.
It's easy to say that I could have got help. 16, 17, 18 years old, that's one of the most embarrassing things, to come to somebody and say, hey, me and my family's homeless. Can you take me in?
Especially in the beginning, we had no clue. Nobody really knew him well enough to know about what his home life was like.
Basically, after practice, Coach Susie, he was just like, do any of the leaders have anything to say? He was talking to the DBs. And I stood up, I'm like, yo, Coach, I was about to say something, and then as soon as I started talking, my throat felt like it was closing. And then my body started cramping. So every time I would move, that body part would cramp. They asked me had I been drinking water and all that stuff. Of course I was like, yeah, I've been drinking water. And then she was like, what have you eaten? It was like probably like 2 o'clock. And I was like, I haven't ate yet. But truth be told, I hadn't ate that day, and the day before that, I hadn't ate either. My body gave in.
That's when I think it hit him the most, when he got up and he couldn't speak. After we got to know him, you knew something was going on. And me and Coach G talked to him a lot in the mornings and everything. And it took one day and he finally opened up to us what was going on and everything. And we were like, what do we got to do to help this kid? He sucked it up for a while until I think he couldn't do it no more.
I think the reaction when we found out was the same that you'd have for any student who's in crisis or any family that's in need, is immediate empathy to the situation and a desire to respond. From our head principal at the time, Dee Christopher, to our athletic director, to the coaches like Bill Geiler and Ed Susi, everybody wanted to contribute, and Antonio's such a likable kid. Everybody wanted to help him and help his family in any way that we could.
I think that weighed on him so much that it was such a relief when he got it off his chest. And
the response that I got from my friends and my friends' family, as far as just helping me out and everything, it was awesome. Like, because it made me feel like, you know, people actually cared, you know, actually, you know, loved me, you know. I came from an environment where, like, even your own family, you know, don't show you that same love.
In education, anytime that a student struggles, there's something that we have to figure out as teachers and educators to make right. But if the home doesn't work, it's so much harder. And sometimes it's greater than just an academic need, making sure that their stomachs are full and that they're ready and a capacity to learn. And when they're not, it's showing compassion and understanding and trying to help right the situation before you can learn.
we always had protein bars. I mean, we gave the kids protein bars out of the weight room and everything left and right, and he just loaded them up. That was the first thing we did, was take this, have this every morning. So we knew he was going to eat breakfast and he was going to have lunch at school. And you know, during football season, man, they're eating dinner at school probably twice a week. And that's when he started getting really good friends and everything. Then he did. He'd go to his friend's house a lot of times for dinner and things like that. And people came together and started helping. And it's like being a regular kid again.
One day in practice, I was having a bad practice, and my coach knew something was going on, so he just pulled me to the side and he was like, "Listen, son, I know everything you're going through. I know what you got on your mind, and everything." But he was like, "Football is your way to get away from all of those problems." And he was just like, "Either you become what you see every day, or you become better." And he was like, "Right now, you at a point in your life, you sink or swim." And I always told him, like, "Coach, I want to swim."
I believe that when he got a sense of that team and the coaches that were there to really show him love and to show him that discipline is necessary for you to succeed in life, I believe that that's what changed his life, and it helped him to get refocused and helped him to understand that he mattered even the more. And if you keep your head on straight, that you can reach any goal that you attempt to obtain.
The house across the street from the high school, man, that house, it really meant a lot to me, and it meant a lot to my family. The house is like 10 by 4 in the inside of it. We didn't have AC, we didn't have heat. We would go to sleep. Wintertime, it would be so cold in the house. Like, my mama went, she tried to buy one of the little furnace heater thing. Like, it was still like so cold, like it barely worked.
When we got that place, and even though the power was out, my kids said, "It doesn't matter. As long as we're together, we don't want to go nowhere else. We'll light candles. Let's find some candles." So we were in the house with candles lit, and just doing what we needed to do. But the important thing was that we were together as a family.
But I was so happy to have a crib. Like, I would wake up in the mornings, like, early, and like all the cars, like all the people dropping their kids off, all the students pulling up. I would come out here with my shirt off and stuff and just stand out in the front and wave at everybody. Like, like the Jeffersons or something, man.
In football, you got to play with a chip on your shoulder, and he always did. And that's something, you know, coaches try to get out of kids, is to have a chip on his shoulder. We didn't have to do that with him because he loved being out there, and we knew he was athletic. Once he got out there on defense and started making some plays, he could fly around.
I received 3 Defensive Player of the Week awards, as well as all-region at defensive back. I led the team in interceptions that year, and I led the team in pass deflections.
He made the right decisions, and you can't say that about a lot of guys doing that. That would be in his situation. Just say the heck with it, you know. But he had goals in mind, and that, you know, I give him all the props in the world for doing that.
I was the first person to graduate high school, like, out of majority of our family. So everybody came. Like, this whole thing was filled with cars. Like, everybody was here, man.
On that day, we had people there, and then we had some of the school kids that came over afterwards, and then they partied after the party. So it was awesome.
What people don't understand is what he had to do to get to that point. A lot of kids wouldn't have done. I know he knew what was right. He just had to find a way to do it, and there were some good people there that helped him out. You know, everybody kind of chipped in and everything, and he made some great friends there. You know, that's part of the great story about what he went through.
For my family, I was happy. As far as for me, even though I'm excited a little bit about it, this is something I'm supposed to do because I'm supposed to be different.
When the mail started rolling in and he got the first letter and he came in the door, he was like, "Ma, I got a letter to a college," and he fell down on his knees and we cried. I'm like, "Yes, Lord." I felt like we literally won a lottery.
I ended up at Bluefield College because I found that this was the best place for me.
D3 school coaches, you know, they got to find diamonds in the rough a lot of times, and they definitely found one with him.
I think Antonio Dawkins is a great kid. He's a superhuman being. Do not have to worry about him in the classroom with his grades, on the football field. He's always going to be on time. He does exactly what we ask of him. I had no idea about Antonio's upbringing. I had zero idea about it. I could not believe what he had been through because you would not have known that now.
Every semester turns came around, he was on the dean's list. I mean, it really blessed my heart because he had I don't know if you all know, but his GPA was maybe a 1 or under.
You know, for a lot of us folks who came from families that got degrees and it was expected of you and you were raised your whole life to do that, it says a whole lot about him. I mean, he's had to have self-discipline. He's had to do a lot of things on his own and to get here. And I know he's had support from his mom. I know he's got a girlfriend that supports him. But, you know, when you're trying to figure out, you know, where am I going to get the money and what am I going to do and those kind of things, he's stayed the course. He's worked hard. He's done what you have to do. And, you know, and I can't say enough great things about him, and I'm very proud of him.
He's been calling me and texting me quite a bit about how he's doing and everything, and we had such a good rapport with him, you know. I'm just so happy to see where he's at now.
Without the coaches that was here at the time, looking out for me and everything, like, I wouldn't be in college. Without those talks that they gave me, I wouldn't be in college at all.
I think he'd be a good mentor for someone, for kids that are going through some of the same things he's going through. There's nobody else better to look to than him.
When you see somebody that has attempted to be strong through different situations coming up through life and just still remain to be focused, that in itself is what has me amazed with him.
Aside from football, one of my motivators and one of the most consistent things that's been in my life has been my girlfriend, Janower. Throughout these years, I've known her for a long time. She kept me away from a lot of trouble. So she's meant a lot to me throughout these years.
To see him, see the greatness and see the love in Ajane, and to overcome everything that he's seen me go through, from being shot at to being beat to walking around with black eyes to being helpless in situations as a child that has tried to protect their mother and could not or did not know what to do. He's still seen the greatness in me as his mother. He's seen my strength. I talk to him all the time about respecting women, and he was still able to hear my voice through it all as I tried to teach him something different. Most people have so many imbalances in coming through abusive relationships. He didn't allow that to affect him to make the decision that he made. And he still embraced that love was still real. He was able to see that in Ajane and to respect her and to push past what he's seen and to value love. That to me is one of the greatest accomplishments.
I know I have to work 10 times harder than anybody because that's all I've ever had to do in my life. So I know to be successful and to stay successful, I gotta keep working. I gotta grind even harder because it's another level.
Go from homeless to get a college degree, to play college football, and now he's wanting to play in the NFL and CFL. They don't count him out. Antonio Dawkins will do everything humanly possible to achieve it. That's been his whole life story.